All right, broadcasting live from the Mississippi River. This is Moonshine Radio. All right, folks, today we're going to take a simple lesson here on how to measure ERP, effective radiated power. Now, this could be from either a radar or satellite system. Basically, a very complicated system that emits radio waves, and you want to kind of measure what do you think is the effective radiated power of this system. So today, we're going to give a real simple approach of how you can do that. All right, slide 2. Here we go. Here we got on the floor here, we got a radar. It's the APG bullshit. It's just recently been made. All the factory bobbies charged a bunch of overtime to make it. And anyway, it's all built up now, and now you're a new radar engineer or satellite engineer, whatever, and you're working at Redneck Engineering. And your job today is to measure what you think the ERP is of this new radar. Well, one approach is just simply set it up there, and somewhere in the far field you have a horn with a coax cable hopefully attached to it, and you hook that up there to a spectrum analyzer there, and you measure the received power, and there you compute the ERP. Now, to do it this way, you're going to have to know the distance to the horn, what the horn gain is. You're going to have to measure the coax loss, blah, 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 blah. So this is kind of a stupid way to measure ERP, so Dr. Moonshine's going to give you the better approach. All right, slide 3 here. First off, we see that the received power is going to be equal to whatever the ERP is minus the loss. And in this loss term is the path loss, the horn gain, the cable loss. So we're just going to clump it all together here and call it L. So we got dBm equals dBm minus dB. All right, that seems pretty simple. First, we got to solve for L, and then we can solve for ERP. All right, slide 4. Well, what you got to do is you remove that radar or satellite system for a minute, get that out of the way, and we got to put something there that we know the ERP of. So this might just simply be a signal generator with a 20 dB horn, something that we know it's ERP inside and out. So that's kind of what we're showing here. We got a signal generator there at some frequency F0 at a power level of 0 dBm. And then we hook it up to a 20 dB horn there. So we can see that our ERP that we know about is going to be 0 dBm plus 20. So that ERP will be 20 dBm. All right. And then we go and tune our spectrum analyzer there, and we measure a power level of, let's just say, minus 60 dBm. All right. So then we can use this equation here, and we can solve for what the L is, right? So we put in our received power of minus 60. We put in our ERP under known, which is 20. And we solve for L. And hopefully we can see there that the loss is going to be 80 dB. It's going to be 60 plus 20, right? Hopefully everyone sees that. So that is what the loss is. So now that we know the loss, which this loss is including the path loss, it's including the horn gain and the loss of the cable. We've lumped it all together into this L term, which is just 80 dB. Very simple. All right. Now we're back to, let's see here, slide 5. Now we get our ERP test system out of the way, move that out. And now you put the radar or satellite system there, pretty close to wherever your test system was. Doesn't have to be exact. A few inches there is going to be good enough. So now, we now know what L is because we just measured it. And now we can see that the ERP of the system we're trying to measure is just going to be whatever we receive on that spectrum analyzer. And we just add 80 dB. And that's going to be the ERP of our unknown radar or unknown satellite system. All right. That's it, folks. Hopefully you guys have learned how you can measure ERP for some new radar you built or some new satellite system. It's real simple. You just set up a horn, preferably in the far field. And before you put your system under test, you install a known ERP system. You measure that received power, and then you can compute what the loss is. And then you put your system under test in place. And since now you know what the loss is, because the loss is going to stay the same, and now you can compute what the ERP is, which is just the power received plus 80 dB in this case. Well, hopefully you learned something, folks, today on Moonshine Radio, studying effective radiated power. Live from the Mississippi River, sipping some moonshine. This is Moonshine Radio.